Good morning, this is Shalimar Steinberg, and this morning we're going to be creating an additional layout in our title block. And what we're going to be doing is adding a B-size sheet of paper. So right now we have our A-size template, which remember is on the 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. And we have it landscape, so it's wider than it is tall. And we have to take into account the margins, so we want to make sure we're within our dotted lines. So we have made this one 7.5 inches tall and 10 inches wide. So we're going to go ahead and click on the new layout tab. And when we do that, it creates a new layout. And right now that one is blank and it just has a simple viewport. The first step is going to be to delete that viewport. That way we don't accidentally put in one on top of it because they can conflict with each other. So we're going to look at our A-size template, and if I right click on here, I can go to the Page Setup Manager, and I can look at what the settings are. So right now it's the 8.5 by 11 inch landscape piece of paper, and then I have Layout tab 2. But first I'm going to close this, and I'm going to select that one as the current one. Then I'm going to go to Rename, and I'm going to name it Paper Space B template. That way I always know what it is, and hit enter. And now I can right click on it and go ahead and go to that Page Setup Manager. And I am going to say modify. And I have to pick a printer so that it will allow me to select paper sizes that are affiliated with that printer. Because I don't have a printer hooked up at home, I can't just pick my printer. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just pick the 8 PDF printer, and then I can go from the drop downs here, and it's got different sizes of paper print picked. So we're going to go down here to the ANSI B 11 by 17 inches, and we're going to tell it, or we're going to leave it at layout for now, and we want landscape, yes. Preview, just to make sure that the size is correct, which it is. Okay, close my preview here, and I'm going to say OK for the moment. Then I'm going to close this, and now you can see my piece of paper is bigger. So then the next step that I'm going to do is to get onto my PS border layer, which I already was, it looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines. I'm not doing this as a rectangle because I want to be able to divide the bottom line separately from the top lines and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and start just inside the edge here, and I'm going to click here and draw my line straight down at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to draw it at 10 inches. And then I'm going to go over, and I'm going to do 15.5 inches. The margin on this piece of paper is a little bit bigger than the other one. So right there, and up again 10 inches, and over to close my shape. And then I am going to select the entire thing and move it down a little bit because I want it to be a little bit more centered on the page. So I'm going to use move and this corner. Right about there. It doesn't have to be perfect because I can also center it in the layout portion of my drawing. Now I'm going to use the offset command, and I'm going to tell it 0.5 inches. So, and then I'm going to select this bottom line and offset it up. This is going to give me the spacing for the boxes that I want to do. Then I am going to go ahead and do a line, and I want to think about it. Let's see, 15.5, and I need to divide it into 4 sections. So that is going to end up being, let me think for a second here. So that'll be 3.875 inches in. So I'm going to start at this corner without clicking, drag over this way just a little bit. Didn't quite catch it. This way just a little bit where I can see my green dotted line, and type 3.875, and then it attaches right up there for me, and then I can just go down to where it would intersect. Now I can do the offset again, and I can tell it that 3.875, and I can choose this line and offset it in this direction, and then this line and offset it in this direction. Oops. There we go. So now I have my 4 sections that I need, and I can now switch over to my viewport layer, and I'm going to go right here, and then I need to go to the layout section. This was created when we created those layout tabs, and I can see here that I have the option of doing a layout viewport, and I just want to do a regular rectangular one. So I'm going to click on rectangular here, and I want to start just inside the edge of my current border here. So it's wanting to snap to that, so I need to come in just a little bit where I don't see that green dot. And I'm going to zoom back out and drag down to this corner. And again, I need to zoom in to where I don't see that green section. Otherwise it would snap to that corner. There we go. And now I have a viewport, and that's into my model space, remember? And I'm going to turn off the grid in there because in my shared drawings I don't want that grid visible. So I'm going to go out here. Okay. And it looks like I did snap to those corners, and nope, it is slightly inside grid. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is go to my Home tab and switch over to my text layer. Actually, first I'm going to need some construction lines. So I will go in for a line. Now if I look at the text on this one, it's set in just a little bit and down just a little bit. So I'm going to draw some construction lines in order to mimic that spacing. And then I'm also going to put some in for this one. So I'm going to go on to the resize template. I'm going to zoom in on this corner just a little bit here. And I'm going to create a line. And again, I'm going to go to this edge, come in just a little bit, and I'm going to come in only about 1/8 of an inch, so 0.125. And draw a line down. And it's yellow, so you can see that it's not going to show up very well, but that's okay because we just need it for measurement purposes. Then I'm going to do another line, and I'm going to start at that same corner, and I'm going to come down the same distance, so 0.125. Straight over so that it meets up right here. Now I do not need to draw it over to the entire thing because I can just copy the first piece of text that I put in and space it there. And then I'm going to draw a line up the same distance. Actually, I'm going to do about half that distance, so 0.0675. And draw that one over, and that's going to be where our center text can line up on. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into text, viewport text actually, so PS text. And I'm going to go to text here and choose single line text. Then I'm going to specify the starting point of the text, which is going to be right here at the junction of this. And I'm going to specify the height. I want it to be 0.7 or 0.75. And I do want a 0-degree rotation because I want it to be straight across. Now I can type my text, and that first one is going to say date. And I actually want capital letters. And then colon. And then I can hit enter twice and it will end that. Okay. And then I'm going to do my larger one. So I'm going to do the same thing, text. And I'm going to start it right about here. And you can choose exactly where you want to put it. And then for the height, for this one, I'm going to put the 0.125 because I want it to actually show up at 1/8 of an inch. And actually, I'm going to do 0.18 because I want it to be a little bit bigger. And a 0 rotation again. And then I'm going to go ahead and type my, in this case, placeholders for the dates that I want to put in. Enter. That's a little further up than I actually want it to be, so I should have centered it on this line like I planned to originally. So I'm just going to use the move with the grips and move it down to that line. There we go. And okay, I have now created my two. So I could go in and individually create each of the other ones, but it's going to be a lot simpler if I use the copy command. And I'm going to select this one and this one. And then I'm going to say no more objects. And the base point that I'm going to choose is going to be the upper corner of the box here. And then I can simply use that same base point on each of the other boxes. So this corner, this corner. I'll make sure that I get to the blue box, not the pink one. And finally, this corner. Next, I can simply go in and adjust the text. So for this one, I'm going to tell it scale. And this one, I'm going to tell it 1 equals 1. Because those are the defaults. And this one I'm going to say file name. And last and then finally the draft name. Let me actually check if it's what it says on this one. Oh, it just says by. Okay, so just try that. Okay. So at this point we have created our secondary title block, so we have a B size now. And the nice thing about this is that now any object that I draw, I have the option of going in and choosing what size paper I want to print on based on the best size for that drawing. So for this one, if I do a 1-to-1, it fits pretty well. It might be a little bit big, but it fits pretty well. If I were to then go out and add a bunch of things to it, whatever they might be, then I might find that now it's a little too big and I would have to scale it down. But if I go to my B-size template and I go in, I can first zoom extents and then look at it and say, do I want it at 1-to-1? It's still a little bit big, but I don't have to shrink it as much as I would have on the A size. All right, there you go. You've created your new template.